Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Dorian.
We got some nerd news for you.
We do. We always got the nerd news. So we're going to be talking about Chadwick Boseman's role or lack thereof in Black Panther 2, Disney potentially losing the rights to Predator, the latest Falcon and Winter Soldier episode. But first things first, let's talk some Bioshock. That's a word we haven't really heard in a while.
Not for many moons.
Many moons. And apparently, we know that Bioshock 4 or whatever it's going to be called is coming. And there's a new job posting for a writer to help write the story. But the job description says that they want the applicants for this job to, I quote, weave impactful, character-driven stories in an open world setting. So it sounds like to me, just based on that information, Bioshock is going open world. And what do you think about that here?
I'm into it. I think that this is a franchise that could easily do that.
Do you think so?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it depends where the setting is. So if you're doing something like because they haven't said, I don't think, where specifically this game timeline wise is going to fall. So you go to like a Rapture type area, that's going to be a little bit harder to do an open world, obviously, because it's isolated. So I can see it very well being more of like Bioshock Infinite meets, and then they're also on the regular, land, like Earth, I guess, instead of under or above. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I'm thinking the genre works for open world. I don't know necessarily if Bioshock, like the Bioshock games of past, could work that way. I don't think so. But, with all the different abilities with guns, that's totally going to work in an open world setting. I have no doubt. Now, how do you weave a good story? Because they're known for the stories in these games. How do you weave in elements of, horror and action? I don't know. So it might be just a very different game than what we're used to from them. So we'll see what happens, though. But I'm into it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you in terms of like weapons and powers. Yeah, you could absolutely apply that to an open world setting and you'll be fine. But one of the things that makes Bioshock is the atmosphere, the environment, and most notably the cities that you go to here. They're very distinct. So in that regard, this is a very interesting route to go, just because, for one, like you said earlier, Rapture is going to be a tough one just because it's very corridor based. It's like a very corridor environment here. So, doing trying to do an open world version of Rapture, I feel like would be kind of tricky to actually, put your thumb on for the most part. But that being said, we still don't know what the setting's going to be. I'm assuming that it's probably an entirely new setting. It's not going to be Columbia. It's not going to be Rapture. It's going to be something completely brand new. And it's probably just going to be one giant city, kind of similar to like, a GTA or Cyberpunk. And you're just going through this entire city. I think that's what I visualize in my head, what it would be looking like here. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Another video game news: Resident Evil 4 goes VR. I don't know anything about Resident Evil. I think I've played one of the games, but
okay.
What do we know about this game? Because it sounds like this would be a horrific game. Like, you would just get the pants scared off you constantly, I feel like.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think Resident Evil 4 is a very scary game, in all honesty. You might have like maybe a moment or two of jump scares for the most part, but by and large, you're just it's kind of more of like a cheesy action movie, in my opinion, here for the most part, like one of those B movie type
Okay.
type things here. But yeah, I mean, Capcom put on like a RE showcase, Resident Evil showcase last week, which it's the 25th anniversary, so go figure. And they showed a more detailed look of like upcoming Resident Evil projects, like their multiplayer thing that they're going to be doing. They got like a new animated movie that's coming out on Netflix, the actual live action movie, and
Mm-hmm.
of course Resident Evil 8, which comes out next month. So, but which I mean, there wasn't like anything like um, you know, brand spanking new about what they showed for like those projects in that showcase. But the big surprise was, that they announced Resident Evil 4. And it's coming to Oculus Quest 2, which, for those of you who don't know, that's like the headset that you can wear that doesn't have like any wires. It's like a standalone headset. You don't have to have a computer or anything like that. It just works by
Oh,
itself.
that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. So, I mean, the graphics are going to be pretty much the same as they were, like on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, and that
Mm-hmm.
generation of gaming. So this is not going to be like the remastered, like high definition 4K, version that we're kind of waiting on here. But there's no release date announced. But honestly, I'm honestly I'm honestly into this. I mean, it kind of makes me want to invest in a headset, even though at this point they're almost expensive as a console. So it's kind of hard to justify here for the most part. I'm hoping this comes to more headsets in the future, not just Oculus. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about this game. I don't think I played Resident Evil 4. I think I played 5. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, sounds like it could be fun, but I'm never gonna get a headset, so
Yeah,
I'll have to come over and try it out, I guess, if you end up getting it. But
I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, so Disney is being sued for the likeness of Predator and the stories that go
So
along with it.
real quick, seeing how this is Hollywood and all that, we need to define some terms here. We're not
Yeah.
talking about sexual predators here. I mean,
Oh
we're
yeah,
talking
sorry.
about
The
the
Predator
the
franchise,
Arnold
the
Schwarz,
big scary
yeah,
dudes. Yeah.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger, 80s action movie Predator. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, so apparently the original writers for Predator are filing a lawsuit against Disney to get rights back to the Predator franchise, which I didn't know they owned.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
So yeah, there's a copyright law that states that around the 35-year mark, original authors can end a studio's hold on a franchise rights. This seems pretty standard among most media, like maybe not 35 years, but a lot of times older stuff, the copyright has ran out on it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it doesn't matter as much anymore. But Disney has responded saying
Yeah.
they're basically going to lawyer up because they want to make their own Predator movie, which is very interesting to me. But
Yeah.
man, it'll probably be under the Fox banner, is what I'm guessing.
Most certainly, it would have to be. I mean, especially, I mean, I can't imagine a world where Disney would put out a PG-13 Predator movie and expect people to see it, because that's just not what this franchise is. It's a rated R franchise here. It's blood, guts, and gore. So
You don't think he's going to
but
show
yeah,
up in Wreck-It Ralph 3?
I mean, anything's possible at this point. See, now, like, he's in Fortnite right now, so
That's true. That's true.
but I mean, it's just weird that Disney seems to have like plans for Predator. I mean, like, you guys got enough like Marvel, Star Wars, and like in-house Disney projects that you guys are doing. You got like I mean, you're literally making a movie about Cruella, which I never thought that we needed an origin story movie about a lady that just wants to kill puppies here, So I mean, yeah.
It is an odd concept.
So I mean, honestly, I would be fine if the rights went somewhere else, just because it kind of helps break up that Disney almost pseudo monopoly that they kind of almost have here for the most part. But when you think about it, there really hasn't been a good Predator movie in a while. So it's kind of like, okay, even if they did go somewhere
No.
else, it's like, are they actually going to do anything that's going to actually want to go see this movie? Chances are probably not.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So Chadwick Boseman, as we all know, no longer with us,
Yeah.
and the producer of Black Panther 2 has come basically out and said there's not going to be a cameo of any kind. They're not going to get the Skywalker treatment. They're not going to have CGI go into it. They're not going to do any of that stuff. No unused footage. And this is out of respect for him, obviously. For me personally, I'm really okay with this. It'll be interesting to see how they explain it, like what happened to him, all that stuff. So I'm interested to see as far as a storyline where
Yeah.
it goes. I'm totally okay with them not doing anything out of pay respects for Chadwick Boseman. What do you think?
Sure. So it dawned on me while I was reading this that like let's say Black Panther 2, it's going to be like Shuri, a movie all about Shuri becoming the Black Panther, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very
let's
possible.
say, that they have that ritual where, they bury you in like that sand or dirt or whatever it was in the movie, and you wake up in the ancestral plane where you have like all the previous Black Panthers and they go and hang out and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be amazing if
Yeah.
like at the end of the movie that happens and she sees T'Challa there and whatnot, and I'm not saying CGI him just because I feel like that's not really the best route to go, especially seeing how he died fairly recently. But like unused footage, I think would be fine for the most part. But that being said, you know Disney, you do you on that front. I mean, I get it. It's like it's a it's kind of a tricky thing to step around. You're going through a landmine / walking on eggshells when it comes to stuff like that. So I get it. If you don't want to even touch it, makes sense.
Yeah. Lucy Liu has been cast in Shazam 2. The actress is going to be appearing in Shazam Fury of the Gods as the goddess Calypso, who is a villain and the sister to Helen Mirren's Hespera. So I need to do some research on Greek mythology, it sounds like, because I don't recognize these names even really. But
Yeah.
apparently they haven't even been in the comics, so I don't really know. It's interesting to see the route that Shazam has been going. We're getting more into
Yeah.
like the Thor like almost like the DC equivalent to like Thor, where it deals with the
Right.
gods and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's interesting that they're doing this, but I don't really understand it because there's more than enough villains. If they're villains, I don't know. To pull from the DC franchise. So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. It's weird that, the DC, comic line has been around for almost 100 years now, and you have just like hundreds, if not thousands, of characters that you can pull from in one capacity or another here to actually, fill like a certain role that you have for your script. I mean, obviously Shazam is, has its its roots in Greek mythology. So I mean, it does make sense for, I guess, on that level for it to show up. I mean, I just figured like they would, but I'm guessing like that caterpillar guy that you saw at the end of the first movie that's like talking to Mark Strong's character. I forget what his name was, but he was mentioning something about the god. So I'm assuming that he's got something to do with this whole, you know, got Fury of the Gods thing going on.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The Batman spinoff is gonna focus on Jim Gordon. So the HBO Max show that was gonna be centered around GCPD is now gonna have James Gordon star in it as the main character. So But Jeffrey Wright, who plays Gordon in the upcoming Batman movie, has not been officially cast in the show, and the show will be a prequel to the Batman. So Gotham? Is that it's interesting.
You know,
I feel like we've
this
had this show
sounds
already.
really familiar. Like where have we ever heard or seen something like this before here? Oh wait, that's right. There was a show that was based on James Gordon, and it focused on the police in Gotham City, and it also was a prequel to the Batman story. Huh.
Weird.
So yeah, no, I mean, this is just like Gotham reboot at this point here. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, understand why like they're kind of peddling this as like it's kind of a new thing. This is just essentially Gotham repackaged. I mean, maybe they'll do it right this time here, just because Gotham kind of lost some steam. So
towards the end there, yeah. Yeah, I don't. It's whatever. I mean, I might watch it. Depends on reviews and if I feel like watching it. But
I mean,
yeah.
right.
So don't hold your breath on Comic-Con, ladies and gentlemen. We've talked about this the last couple weeks on there's probably going to be a Comic-Con, but they're still unsure. So obviously, I mean, we've talked about it before, it's planned on Thanksgiving weekend, but they're not really sure whether it will actually be feasible at this point in time to do a typical Comic-Con. But they said they're optimistic because things like Disneyland are planning to open around April 30th. And California is intending to lift most restrictions June 15th. All I'm going to say is I told you so. I didn't have a lot of faith. I don't have a lot of faith in California as a whole when it comes to civil liberties. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm hopeful.
No,
I'm
most
hopeful.
definitely. I mean, it's a
hope it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, no, fingers crossed on all of this, just because, I mean, obviously, the sooner we get back to normal, the better. The sooner we're able to like go to like large scale public events. Yeah, I'm about it, but I mean, I found it really surprising that Disneyland is actually planning on opening its doors by the end of the month, and then apparently most restrictions to be lifted like shortly thereafter here. But it's like, I'll believe it when I see it, just because, again, 1 week to slow the spread, and we're still not
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then 2 became 3, and so on here. So
flatten the curve.
Yeah, flatten the curve. All the
Dorian, we're
mantras.
still trying to flatten it. Okay.
Yeah. No, shame on me. So, yeah. No, I think. Yeah. So we'll see. Well, I mean, again, if I was a betting man, I would not place my bets on California. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. How about we do this? This is a crazy idea. You ready for this?
I'm all ears.
How about we let people decide for themselves if they want to go out and live their lives?
Now, where do you think you're living? In like the land of the free and the home of the brave, or something like that here? I mean, I think
I do think that, yes.
I mean, well,
I mean, we're lucky and fortunate that we're in an area where it kind of is like that. But
never really
not
had like any
is.
serious mandates. Yeah, but
no.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you know Mads Mikkelsen is joining Indiana Jones in Indy 5? If you didn't, now you do. So yeah, we just got the casting information. Basically, I like Mads and what he does. He's typically a bad guy. So
yeah,
I'm guessing that's what's going to happen.
He'll be a bad guy in this. I mean,
oh, did you see? Oh wait, what movie was it? So there's more news for movies. I didn't write this at the show notes, but apparently What's the guy that plays Pietro? I always forget his name for the Fox X-Men.
Evan Peter.
He's gonna
Evan
play
Peters or
Ace
something.
Ventura's son in Ace Ventura 3.
Okay,
So
I see it.
I think I saw that on
I
IGN. I
see
can't
it.
remember, but anyway, yeah, some good casting right there. But
I can see it.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah. So no, that's I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like that's spot on. Um. Yeah, Mads is just. I feel like just almost. He's just getting in everything nowadays. Or he was in Star Wars. He was in Doctor Strange. He was in a video game. He's going to be in Harry Potter, and now he's going to be in Indiana Jones. So I mean, he's just one of the guys. He's like Pedro Pascal right now. He's just like put him in everything.
yep. Yeah, well, that's it for our nerd news. We're gonna head into our roundtable review. Dorian, what we got?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, episode 5. So this is the penultimate, I think, is what the kids call them. Like the second to last episode of the season. So we're talking about it. We're spoiling it. Turn it off. Wait. Watch it, or just don't care. Like, do
Yeah.
you? So, so getting into it, I like this episode more than I did last week's episode. I felt like the pacing, even though this was a slower, kind of more of a setup episode for the finale, I felt like the pacing was
Yeah.
better, or at least like more consistent, I guess, compared to like last week's episode. It got a little too political for my taste. Like, there's some specific parts in there that I'm like, okay, like, you know, way to appease the woke mob or whatever here or something. But
Pretty
but
much.
no, I mean, that being said, we pick up right where we left off with last week. John Walker just killed a guy. He's got blood on the shield. And he's honestly losing it. He's at one point it kind of seemed like he was actually going to, kind of take a more redemption route or kind of atone for like what he was doing. Uh, but then he decided, nah, I'm gonna, keep doing what I'm doing. And this is essentially a prime example of like kind of what they talked about in the very first Captain America, like, when Steve Rogers is sitting down with the scientists about, like, why didn't you pick the perfect soldier to like be in the super soldier program? He's like, like, I could pick a good soldier, but they don't, but I would rather have a good man, have this power than a good soldier.
Yeah.
And, this is essentially just a prime example of what it looks like when you give power to the wrong guy. And, we got a cool fight scene like right off the bat between Sam, Bucky, and Captain Douchebag. He just, and they get the shield from him. And you also get some more backstory on Isaiah Bradley. And, here is where it gets like kind of preachy with like the whole racial like injustice
Yeah.
and, blah, 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 which I'm not denying that there hasn't been racial injustice, but it's kind of like, for a Marvel property, it's a little like, okay, like you guys are kind of treading in some territory that you guys, I don't know if you guys should be particularly treading on here, I guess, so to speak. That's just
Yeah.
me. And we got some character development for Sam and especially Bucky. He kind of got a pep talk from Sam, and Sam is definitely looking a lot more like Captain America. He's training with the shield. He's doing like his sideways flips that Cap does in the Avengers movies and all that. And I'm assuming that the box that he got from Wakanda, because let me back up for a second, because essentially Bucky finds Zemo like real quick, and more or less hands him over to the Wakandan like special fighting force or whatever they're called. I forget the name, and I'm not going to butcher it, on air. So that being said, they take him in, and Bucky calls in a favor for essentially a box that, I'm assuming that's going to be vibranium wings. and a new suit. So it'll be like his Captain America suit, so to
Probably,
speak.
yeah.
So I mean, a couple things of note here. We got the Seinfeld lady coming in, and she's I forget exactly how they what her name was, but essentially she's like Lady Hydra from the comics, or that's what she's been touted as. And so she's a new piece on this chessboard. You got Sharon Carter, who's up to something, which I mean, it's either this new lady or Sharon Carter as the power broker. Like, but chances are it's probably Sharon Carter. And John Walker is now making a bootlegged shield in his garage. So I'm hoping like that thing
Yep.
just like shatters like the first go round here. But overall, not a bad episode. I just think that they need to bring it full circle next week. Actually have the payoff.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
guess for me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask you what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this episode was good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go back and watch last week's again, but I liked it just fine. It has a good mix of feels. At times it feels there's like feel good episode. We got
Mm-hmm.
action in it, and then we have the dramatic stuff in it as well. I'm gonna double down on Sharon Carter being the power broker because just with everything that's happening, it only makes sense. She has those paintings in her little what do you call it? Like little lair thing now. And
Her
so it's kind of like,
apartment or whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah, with armed guards. Sam
Yeah.
is now Captain America. He had his little training montage that every
Mm-hmm.
hero needs. And so
Yep.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I liked the fight at the beginning when it was Bucky and Sam versus John Walker. It showed, obviously Sam had his wings, but he's going toe to toe with with a super soldier essentially. Like that's not an easy thing to do. And so he definitely earned the shield
Yeah.
because him and Bucky teamed up, broke John Walker's arm, took the shield, and Bucky pretty much takes it from John Walker, gives it to Sam, and basically was like, "So what are you gonna do with it now?" Type of thing. Like basically, like you should have never gave it up. And Sam's starting to
Sure.
realize that more, especially after his conversation with Isaiah Bradley. Maybe not going the way he thought it would go. So I didn't like the race and political aspects of the episode. Like you kind of said, I'm in that same boat where it's like, we try to escape from that stuff watching this. These shows and movies. Like we don't need to be constantly reminded that that stuff exists. Um,
Well, and especially with as polarizing as the political climate is like nowadays, it's kind of like, if we wanted to get an opinion piece on one side or another, we
yeah,
literally have like thousands of like news outlets and blogs and
yeah.
whatever you
I'm not.
want to go seek
Yeah.
that stuff out here.
I'm not trying to downplay it either. I'm just saying it's not the place for it. So, um, yeah, I think and they set up the next Falcon because what's his name, the guy that's been giving them intel on the Flag Smashers, I can't remember his name. He fixed
Oh,
Sam's wings, and then Sam says keep them. And in the comics, he is the next Falcon, so that'll be interesting. Big question, and you kind of talked about it. What's in the box? I'm on the same page with you. I think it's like a suit of some kind, and potentially new wings. We'll see what they do with that. But yeah, it's interesting because they're going into the whole. We're seeing the fall of someone who was at the height of their ego, basically, John, and so he gets dishonorably discharged. Basically, gets nothing from the government, and he's like, I gave you everything. I gave you all my life. I did everything you asked, and I messed up. Basically, I messed up one time. Um, and so yeah, he kind of starts to lose it at the end. He takes all his medals. He's putting them on this fake Captain America shield he's making. So I don't know. I don't really know what he's gonna do, and I'm really honestly unsure of where it's all heading. Like, obviously, we have to get some answers. Like, who's the power broker? How do the Flag Smashers tie in? Is there gonna be
Mhm.
a fight? Are they gonna arrest him? Are they gonna get away? Like,
Yeah,
what exactly is gonna happen? Is John Walker gonna die? Like, is he gonna get away and go join Hydra? I'm guessing. I don't know.
sure.
I don't know uh what a good ending to this actually would be. Like, what would be satisfying? I don't really know, to be honest. I think that's could be an issue, like when it comes to
Yeah,
writing. But yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
I'm interested to see where they go with it because they could go a lot of different ways.
They could. I mean, I will say this much. I mean, I know like there will be probably a lot of loose ends that are tied up uh with the finale just because there's currently no official plans for season 2 of this show. Um, I'm sure we'll get more answers on the Seinfeld lady and like, what her deal is because apparently she was actually supposed to be first introduced in the Black Widow movie. And so there was supposed to be like that payoff with her being introduced in Black Widow and then showing up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but obviously that didn't happen. And then
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna see a showdown between with like Falcon and Bucky versus John Walker just being crazy trying to like do something to redeem himself, like probably going after the Flag Smasher lady, like Carly or whatever her name is here and whatnot. And and then it's gonna end with Falcon becoming a Captain America officially. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like those are the beats that are probably going to be taking place come next week. Now, I mean,
Mhm.
beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, tough to say. But I'm excited for next week's finale. So we'll see,
Yeah,
or this week's finale, I should say.
yeah,
What's gonna happen with that. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. So, next up on our roundtable review. So I talked about it a little bit last week. I've been playing Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So I'm gonna be mostly spoiler free on this one here. Seeing how Resident Evil 8's coming right around the corner. I played it for the first time, and I figured, why not talk about it right now? Um, so this is a game that I wasn't really planning on being impressed by or really liking, just because it's very different from previous previous Resident Evils. You're not playing as any of the characters from the earlier games. It's first person. It seems to like not have very strong ties to Resident Evil at all until towards the end here for the most part here. But turns out it's actually pretty dang good. I actually was impressed with this. And, that being said, this is a very different game. If you're going in thinking this is going to be like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5 style or whatever here, this is not that. This is very different tonally wise. Previous games you had like that zombie slash B movie slash action movie vibe that you got with it, kind of cheesy a little bit. And this one is Stephen King, the video
yeah.
game. It's like it. I would probably compare it more to something like Bioshock. You got, the way the levels are laid out, and like kind of like the area design, kind of reminded me of Bioshock. The story and intrigue, you know, kind of seemed similar in that regard too. You're kind of trying to piece together, what happened when in this place where there's just crazy people just running the show, trying to kill you and all that. And it's an FPS here, so but uh,
Mm.
and this game, I will say, it makes you feel a lot more underpowered than you did in the other games. Which makes it 10 times scarier here for that. You don't get um like a ton of ammo, and matter of fact, like for like maybe the first couple of hours, it feels like you don't even have like a decent weapon here. So, but it's got one of the best boss
Mm.
fights in the series. It's crazy, man. It's like takes place in a garage. I mean, I won't get into too many spoilers, but yeah, it's a pretty good boss fight. And I think it might be the scariest game I've ever played. Like, and I typically don't like to play. I'm not a horror guy. I don't really like to play like scary games unless like, you're giving me like a lot of good options on like, fighting back for the most part. But despite that, I actually enjoyed this game. I mean, my biggest gripe, I would say, is some of the lip syncing and the voice acting are just not up to standard. Just kind of a little bit mismatch or whatever. And it also would have probably been cooler if it actually had more ties to Resident Evil for the most part, instead of just like, something at the end to really actually tie it together. Otherwise, it could have been its own separate like game and universe entirely. But all in all, I like what I played. Campaign was very well paced. And after playing this, I think I'm going to pick up number 8 when it comes out next month. So,
Sweet.
yeah.
Nice. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on our social medias. Do all the things. Have an awesome week. And remember, everyone's a nerd about something.
Everybody.